Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland. Holy smokes. Hey, you know how, like, every once in a while you'll get a couple strikers, and they're like, hey, let's just have a gentleman's agreement that nobody is going to go ahead and shoot. Nobody's going to go for a takedown. And then, like, in the first round, like, somebody goes for a takedown. Like, in this fight, they make this gentleman's agreement, like, hey, we're not going to wrestle. And they stay true to their word up until about the fourth round.
I mean, when you have a broken hand at almost halfway through the first and you make it all the way to the fourth without taking a shot, that's pretty admirable.
That's super impressive, man. And yeah, so you mentioned the broken hand, right? We have Kevin Holland and Wonderboy Thompson in the first round. They're going at it. You know, I thought Kevin Holland did such a good job, closing the distance, because Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, that karate stance, is so good at getting in and out because he's so light on his feet. And so he has this little hop step where he gets in with a high knee to try to block Stephen Thompson from blitzing in, and then he tries to land a couple things, himself. He already has long reach as it is, man, but with that hop step, he was able to close the distance really quick that first round.
Yeah, he's super lengthy. There was a couple like really lengthy guys on this card, and you noticed every single one of those fights where they're using that reach very well, and Kevin Holland was doing it up until like the midway of the second.
Yep, absolutely, man. And, there was a couple times where he came in with that little high knee that I was talking about, like that little hop step, and Thompson would time it with the straight right down the pipe. But Kevin Holland, man, is so tough. And we've known this about Kevin Holland, and I think he really showcased this last night. By the way, his hair, fantastic. My wife's like, what happened? It looks like they didn't finish it. I was like, well, it's like he went to the barbershop. And they're like, do you want braids, or do you just want us to go with the fro? And he said yes.
Yes.
Just yes to both. And it was a perfect straight down the middle. And from one angle, it looks like he's wearing a Spartan helmet. Did you notice that? It was sick.
A little bit.
I was down with it.
I do think that the braids on the right side of his head were what gave Thompson that cut at the beginning too. So like they came together quite a lot. And
the head clash?
I think it was the third when they clashed heads. But at the beginning of the first, when they came up against Cage at the very beginning, the braids were like right on that spot where Thompson got that cut. And I think that's probably what did it.
Strategic, maybe. He's like, hey, give me a weapon on my right side. I'll come in with the right side of my head. No, but man.
And then wipe it off to the left.
Yeah, exactly. That first round, though, man, was so crazy. And, Holland on one of those catches Stephen Thompson, or Wonderboy Thompson, with that right and sits him on his ass. And at that point, were you thinking like, hey, Holland's probably going to be able to finish this pretty quickly, or a perfect timing, Rich?
No, I didn't think it was going to be quick. Thompson is never somebody who like just goes out. He'll fight it out no matter where he is, whether it's on the ground or it's up. He's quick to get up. I mean, all karate guys are like springs. They just pop right up.
Yeah.
And then also what doesn't help out Thompson in terms of like the judges viewing it is he goes back and forward a lot and he's off the mat. So like every time he gets caught, he's already going back. And while he is getting caught and he's probably dropping, he's also like falling a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So it's almost like, in a way, like rolling with a punch, you're saying, but with larger movement. By the way, do you see the guy in the background with the cowboy hat in Orlando? All right, dude. I'm digging it. No, yeah. So that's a really good point. I didn't really think about that because he's already light on his feet. He's already moving back. So as he gets caught, maybe gets caught off balance a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was the third or the fourth where the commentary booth were like going crazy, like, oh my God, he dropped him. And I'm like, he fell. And then they showed the clip again and they were like, oh yeah, he fell.
Yeah. And Wonderboy only, if I remember correctly, he's only been knocked out once in his career. That was against Anthony Pettis, where he had that Superman punch where he bounced off the cage. And that was insane. But that's the only time that I've really seen Wonderboy Thompson like seriously hurt. Because here, yes, he got knocked on his ass, and you could see it, man. When he got clocked, he did that little thing with his eyes where he like looked off to the side. Yeah, it was like, what is going on? But like you said, man, bounces off the cage, bounces off his ass, gets right back up. And dude, the recovery for this, what is he, 39, 40, something like that?
Yeah, he's about to turn 40.
Yeah, man. The recovery is super impressive. And he is fast. He's elusive. You even have Kevin Holland when he went into the second round, and you could hear him. He's like, man, this guy's fast.
This old man's fast.
Yeah, this. But dude, it was super exciting fight, man. And as the fight continued to go on, one of the things that they were talking about is the fact that Kevin Holland was blocking those head kicks with his right hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was DC that was like, man, if you're able to block it with your lead hand and it hits the palm, it's a lot better than hitting the back of your hand, hitting your knuckles. And Kevin Holland said, hey, my hand was pretty hurt after the first round. You definitely saw it in the second round, though, where like he's in a stance and he wasn't making a fist anymore. It was just open, and he'd like shake it every once in a while, right? And I was like, oh, man, here we go. And
every
at that point,
disengagement.
That was his biggest weapon, the right hand.
Yeah, that and the forward pressure. Like him and then the fight against Levy and Valdez, whenever you're going forward and back and you're using a lot of kicks, the best way to stop that is just get inside and don't let them get their leg up. So the first round, Kevin Holland was doing that a lot, and he was getting a lot off. But when you don't have a right hand to go in with, it's hard to commit just going in with your left.
Yeah, but man, what a fun fight. And there was a few times, right, where they scramble a little bit and they end up on the ground. And the very first one, I think it was Kevin Holland, where he steps back and says, get up. And Wonderboy laughs and gives him a high five.
Not even a second to think about it.
Yeah. But it was just so fun watching these two guys. They laugh, they talk to each other, they give a little high five. Now the attitude from Holland changed a little bit. Late third round, early fourth, he wasn't smiling as much, and you could see he was in trouble. And as much as he was joking, telling Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he's like, man, slow down. It's like, man, he put, in his head, he really wished, like, man, dude, calm down a little bit. Because you're throwing a lot at me from every different angle. I thought he did such a good job mixing it up, dude. Those kicks to the body. Oh my God.
Yeah, that one
Rich again. Right, look there. At that, dude.
Man, yeah. How did that man stay standing? He got no knockdowns until the very end.
Man, I don't know. And it's just so much respect should be going out to Kevin Holland. Bisping was going off saying like, hey, not really impressed with his performance. This is mixed martial arts. He should have mixed it up a lot more. But there's got to be respect that's tossed Kevin Holland's way, man. Like he gave Wonderboy everything he could handle that first round. He breaks his hand, like you said. For anybody to break their hand in the first round and they make it all the way to the fourth round, through the fourth round, and he didn't get dropped until the very end. Man, props to Kevin.
Adrenaline doesn't last for like 20 minutes, so he's feeling that for a while.
Yeah, and the body kicks.
Yeah, and to Michael Bisping, bro, like, yeah, they're fighters, but you fought without an eye. Like, let him do what he wants.
Yeah,
and we're in the entertainment business. He's entertaining us.
He's one of the most entertaining fighters on the roster, both from the way that he talks, his lead-ups, his build-ups. He's a hilarious guy. He's a likable guy. He's a superhero outside of mixed martial arts where he stops crime in real life. If you don't know about that. Yeah, anybody that doesn't know about that, just Google Kevin Holland stopping crime, and you'll find
there's
maybe
more
like 4.
Than one story.
It's
like
crazy. And on top of that, when he's in the octagon, man, he's willing to leave it all out there. He's given us some really exciting fights, like the KO against Jacare off his back, where he KOs him. Come on,
that knockout, I love it, and it also frustrates me so bad that Buckley got the KO of the year over that. I'm like,
oh yeah,
I get that was a cool kick, but if you take into consideration that Jacare looks like a massive human being compared to Kevin Holland, and he knocked him out from the bottom. From the bottom, he's underneath him, smacks him. He's like, "Oh, he's out," and just stands up and just murders him.
Now, dude, he had one of the best 2020s, right? He fights Anthony Hernandez. He stops Anthony Hernandez. Fights Joaquin Buckley, drops him. Wins a split decision over Darren the Dentist Stewart. Beats Charlie Ontiveros. Beats Jacare. So he has 5 fights in 2020, man. He just skyrockets his popularity, right? And then he starts going up in competition, right? He fights Derek Brunson, fights Marvin Vettori. He loses to Hamzat Chimaev later on, which, I mean, let's be real, Hamzat is an absolute killer right now, and loses Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So my question to you right now is, do you see him ever stepping into that next level, that next, like the echelon of who are considered the premier fighters in either welterweight or middleweight?
I mean, yes, but it all just depends on his attitude. I mean, like Michael was saying, if you do a little bit more MMA, like throughout the fight, I think he definitely wins a few of those fights. But he's definitely got to put some weight on a bit, like some muscle. I don't think him versus Marvin is a good matchup in terms of like size wise.
Yep.
Especially when you can't wrestle. But he is talented. He's got the cardio for days. He's got chin and like the weight, the manner to take punches. He's not going to go out. But I don't know.
And he
maybe
doesn't have like a
creep up.
very normal like attack style, right? Like he's a kung fu fighter, he says, and very much like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, where you don't find very many fighters at that level as good as Stephen Wonderboy Thompson with his karate, right? So fighters, when they go in and they get prepared for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, it's a little difficult. And I think it's the same for Kevin Holland, where he's a little unorthodox.
It's sort of like fighting Michel Pereira. Like you don't know what you're getting when you get in there, and it could be I'm gonna win or I'm gonna show up.
Well, you're not gonna get wrestling. You at least know that.
Especially when, like, through all his interviews, he's like, I can't wrestle.
Yeah, dude, he's so funny, man. That's
so
one of the things I love about Kevin Holland. He's very upfront. He's upfront about the people he's fighting. He'll say, hey, I don't like him, and this is what I don't like about him. But he's also very self-aware. He knows what he's good at. He knows what his strengths are, and he knows what his opportunities are. And the tough thing is, how long have you been wrestling, Toasty?
Since middle school.
Since middle school, right? So you've been wrestling since middle school. For somebody that goes into mixed martial arts, that haven't wrestled their entire life, they focus on striking their entire life, and then the last 2 years, they started wrestling. And they wrestle every single day, Toasty. It's a part of their regimen, right? Can they ever get to the level of somebody that's been wrestling since elementary school, middle school, all the way through MMA? Do you think it's still possible for them?
If that other person stopped, like,
but that's
if
the
they
thing,
were
right?
like, I'm just gonna not train wrestling anymore, then maybe he could catch up.
But if you had that person that's been training since middle school, all the way through mixed martial arts, they don't stop, and then you had this guy that just started training a couple years ago, it's tough, right?
Yeah, unless you're in like the Olympic training academy or around Jordan Burroughs or like Kyle Dakes of the world, Ed Ruths.
Yeah,
you're not really gonna. Maybe MMA wrestling, but if you focus on like wrestling, there's just no way. Like I'm never gonna catch up to those people.
And that's what makes it so tough for me when I think about Kevin Holland possibly stepping up to that next level, that next tier of fighters. I think that he definitely belongs in the top 15. I think there's a lot of fun fights from the top 15. But when I take a look at the division here, let me pull it up real quick. At the welterweight division, in the top 15, you have D-Rod. That's a fun matchup, right?
That's a really fun
matchup. Yep. Michel Pereira, that's another fun matchup there. Now we start going into Chiesa, which I still think Holland has a good chance against Chiesa, but Chiesa has that wrestling and that jiu-jitsu background as well. And hey, let's not throw out that Kevin Holland is a black belt in jiu-jitsu also, right? Travis Luter, a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So he's like,
okay.
But then after that, it gets
okay.
I mean, you have Jorge Masvidal.
That's a good fight.
It is, but you have Rachmaninoff, Sean Brady, Jeff Neal,
Wonderboy
Thompson, No, Gilbert Burns, who can wrestle and is a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Bilal Muhammad, don't even talk about that fight. It'd be crazy. So I think it'd be very tough for him to stay in the top 10.
It just depends on who the UFC gives him, but yeah, it would be hard.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing, right? Once you get into the top 15, like outside of the top 15, you know what? Let's set you up with some fun matchups. Let's see who's available. Let's set you up with some fun matchups. When you're in the top 15, As soon as you break into that top 15, it's like, okay, well, who else is in the top 15 that you're going to be fighting, right?
Mhm.
Because it's like if I'm the UFC, I'm not just going to leave you in the 15th spot. Like we have to see what we got in you, and we have to continue putting you up against number 14, 13, 10.
Especially when you consider that the UFC doesn't like to give people who are like at the end of their contracts opportunities to like boost themselves so that
Yep.
they can get better contracts. It's just sort of like their business plan. So I
Yeah.
don't think that Kevin Holland's going to get beneficial matchups here in like the next 3 fights.
Ah, man. Well, we'll see what happens with Kevin Holland. Either way, it was a fun fight, fight of the night. In recency bias, you always hear, especially this close to the end of the year, where they're like, maybe fight of the year. There's been a lot of really
Every
great
single
fights this
time.
year. Yeah, but this, I think, is definitely going to be in the conversations of
Mhm.
one of the best fights of the year.
I think if I had to predict, I think it'll get like 3rd place.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah. All right, man. Do you have anything else on that fight?
If you have one fight to watch on the card to go back, especially since it's a free fight, that would be the one.
Hey, everybody. Romero and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.